You won't believe what millions of people witnessed on live television, a moment so unexpected that it sent shockwaves across the currency world and left investors scrambling to understand what had just happened. And before we dive deeper into this historic broadcast and the intense speculation surrounding the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong revaluation, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss another update that could impact your financial future in real time, because what you are about to hear today is already changing conversations across global markets. It all started when a well-known financial news network aired a segment discussing potential currency adjustments, and viewers immediately noticed the anchor mention the IQD and VND in a tone that suggested something significant had just moved behind the scenes. Although the segment was brief, the information hinted at internal confirmations that both currencies were experiencing unusual patterns that analysts typically associate with pre-revaluation positioning. Suddenly, social media exploded. Hundreds of clips were shared, hashtags trended, and people debated whether the anchor had accidentally leaked classified central bank discussions or whether this was a controlled reveal intended to prepare the public for bigger announcements to come. What made this even more intense was the timing. As Iraq had recently increased transparency regarding its forex operations, and economists noted that Vietnam had quietly strengthened its trade reserves in the last 2 quarters, which is often a precursor to currency recalibration. As these developments unfolded, everyday viewers started asking the same question. If the broadcast was merely casual reporting, then why were so many high-level financial figures refusing to comment? Why did multiple regional banking officials suddenly postpone their scheduled interviews? And why did certain forex monitoring platforms record a sudden spike in interest around the dinar and dong within minutes of the broadcast? Experts who analyze global currency behaviors have said for years that real revaluations often occur silently, with small signals appearing before any official confirmation, and this televised moment felt like one of those signals to many seasoned observers. Whether intentional or not, the broadcast aligned with ongoing speculation that 2025 would be a pivotal year for Iraq as it continues stabilizing its oil-driven economy, strengthening international partnerships, and modernizing its banking system. Meanwhile, Vietnam's rapid economic expansion and digital finance reforms have positioned it as one of the fastest emerging markets in Southeast Asia, making the VND a currency many believe is undervalued. Together, these factors created an environment where the world was already watching closely, so when a respected network spoke openly about the possibility of recalibrations, viewers didn't just see it as casual news, they saw it as a sign that something long anticipated might finally be approaching. The reactions ranged from excitement to skepticism, but one thing became clear immediately: everyone wanted answers. And in this video, we're breaking down every angle, every signal, and every hidden. As the broadcast clip continued circulating across major platforms, analysts began dissecting every second of it, zooming in on the anchor's tone, facial expressions, and choice of words, because when it comes to currency news, even the slightest shift in language can reveal early indications of policy changes or international agreements quietly forming in the background. What stood out most was the mention of rate stability adjustments, a phrase rarely used unless something meaningful is happening within a central bank's internal discussions. People started comparing this broadcast to previous historic moments where currencies revalued unexpectedly, and they discovered striking similarities, including subtle public hints, slight movements in regional forex markets, and delayed responses from government officials who normally comment quickly. Additionally, the Iraqi Dinar's recent push for strengthening regulatory oversight and cracking down on dollar smuggling operations created an environment where Iraq could advance toward a higher valuation, which many economists believe is necessary if the country wants to reduce dependence on the US dollar and stabilize domestic purchasing power. At the same time, Vietnam's economic momentum has been undeniable, with increasing foreign investments, trade surpluses, and global manufacturing partnerships signaling that the VND is undervalued compared to its market performance. When these elements combine with public broadcasts referencing both currencies in the same conversation, viewers naturally start connecting the dots. What adds more fuel to this conversation is the international financial climate of 2025, where global powers are urgently working to rebalance currency values, stabilize inflation, and secure supply chains amid unpredictable geopolitical tensions. Every major financial institution is watching emerging markets closely, and currencies like IQD and VND are no longer ignored. They are actively studied because rising economies often require valuation adjustments to match their true economic output. The broadcast may not have given direct confirmation, but it highlighted three core concepts that experts immediately recognized: unusual market behaviors, increased central bank confidence, and international pressure for balanced exchange rates. These three concepts historically align with revaluation events across different countries. As these clues built up, viewer speculation grew, and discussion forums filled with debates as people reviewed past IMF policies, recent reforms in Iraq's banking system, Vietnam's regional trade competitiveness, and the global need for currency realignment. While some people dismissed the broadcast as speculation, others argued that news networks rarely mention revaluation-related terms unless something credible has been observed behind the scenes. Regardless of which side you fall on, the broadcast undeniably reignited worldwide interest, pushing millions of investors and analysts to re-examine the data with fresh eyes. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. Breaking down the elements you need to understand, the patterns professionals look for, and the signs that often appear before any major currency event becomes official. Now that we've examined the broadcast itself and the global reaction surrounding it, let's dive deeper into why this moment matters and what makes 2025 such a crucial year for both Iraq and Vietnam in terms of economic transformation and potential currency restructuring. Iraq is currently pushing forward with an ambitious financial reform agenda that includes modernizing banking systems, integrating digital transaction platforms, and aligning with international financial standards to increase transparency and attract foreign investment. These reforms are not just political moves, but strategic necessities for a country that aims to rebuild its economic identity and reclaim its position in global trade. When a nation undergoes such transformations, currency revaluation becomes a possible outcome because the value of a currency must eventually reflect the nation's stability, productivity, and global economic participation. At the same time, Vietnam's growth story is equally impressive, driven by manufacturing expansion, foreign investor confidence, and strong export performance, positioning the country as a major economic engine in Southeast Asia. Both nations represent emerging markets that are transitioning into stronger financial forces, and this shared momentum is why analysts weren't surprised when both currencies were mentioned together during the broadcast. What makes this even more intriguing is the fact that several international economic reports have quietly pointed out discrepancies between actual economic performance and currency valuation in these countries, suggesting that the IQD and VND may both be undervalued. Whether these adjustments come soon or gradually, a televised reference sparks major interest and raises questions about whether public awareness is being tested ahead of official changes. Financial institutions often drop subtle hints to gauge reaction, prepare markets for transition, or signal to insiders that recalibration efforts are progressing behind the curtain. This possibility has fueled endless debate, and now the world is watching every statement, every policy move, and every data release with heightened focus. The broadcast may not officially confirm anything, but it adds another piece to a growing puzzle of evolving economic conditions. For investors, analysts, and everyday viewers, the key is not to assume but to stay informed, understand the trends, and recognize that global currency movements rarely happen without early indicators. Iraq and Vietnam are both positioned for long-term strengthening, and regardless of when the revaluation happens, their economic outlooks continue to improve, which is a positive sign for their currency futures. As we close this breakdown, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because your engagement helps us continue delivering real, timely, and deeply researched updates on global financial developments. Stay alert, stay informed,